guys, we got this. Let's go. Gun wide trip sweep. Pros X go. On one. Ready?
Right.
What's going on, everyone? NCAP24 here from HuddleGG. In today's video, we're going to teach you a little bit about zone drops when you do your coaching adjustments and how each individual zone will react depending on how many threats are on that side of the field. And we're going to just basically talk through them, tell you what's the best, which ones are probably not as good, and kind of get you the best Mabel coverage that you can depending on what you're facing. Now, if this is the first time checking out our channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also hit that bell notification to make sure that you never miss any of our uploads. Before we get in the video, I want to make sure you know we just dropped another game plan on HuddleGG. It's Banks IQ's New York Giants defense, something that highlights the double A gap for 2-4-5 and as well as the 3-3-5 wide. Two great formations that when paired together is absolutely going to get you better at defense. So check that out if you guys are looking and struggling on defense. It's definitely going to get you where you want to get. Keep in mind that everything on our website is $9.95 as a subscription price. So you do a month subscription, you get everything on our website, unlock everything, the best deal out there. Just want to make sure you guys know definitely the way to go if you want to get better at Madden. All right, so let's jump into the tip, and we're going to look at coach adjustments. Now, coach adjustments is something where you can go ahead and take your zone drops, whether the flats, which are the blue ones, or the curl flats, which are the purple ones, and put them into a specific depth. And what we're going to do here is we're going to show you how each individual zone reacts, okay? So for the sake of this experiment, we're going to put them both at 25, okay? And what we're going to do here is basically go ahead and put them all on the field and show you how different route combinations affect the way that they play, what is going to be the best for you. Okay, so what we're going to do here is on the defensive side of the ball, bear with me here, where I'm going to change all these zones to represent 4 different zones on the field, and then I'm going to stack them so that way you go ahead and see that these how these will work. Right, I'm just going to try to get them as close as I can to themselves, and you're going to see that here we are. Okay, now if you look over here, you've got a curl flat on top, then you got a cloud flat, a seam flat, and a hard flat. It doesn't matter the order of them; they're all going to react the same depending on where they, which ones they are. But what I'm going to show you here is that I'm going to put the 3 routes on the field on the right-hand side, a flood concept. And what happens is that when people put 3 routes on the same side of the field, these are all going to work kind of how you expect them to work. A lot of times I talk to people and they expect these guys to, because they're out type of zones where they're going to just basically fall to the 25-yard mark and be in a position to stop this. 100% the case when there's 3 routes on the side. I'm going to show you these all are going to work very similarly. So watch how this works. Watch each player. They're basically all going to fall in order, and they tend to get to that same spot, and any one of those 3 would have worked, okay? So that's a great thing when that happens, right? Well, pro players know, anyone who's really knowledgeable about the game, if you take one of those routes off the field, whether or not they know this from studying or just they came across this, if they take one route off the field, whether they're putting the tight end on a drag, they're blocking him, they just only send out 2 routes, things change. So what I want to talk about is how they change, what you can do to combat that, and then basically from there, what I want to do is talk about what are the better ones, which ones are the worst ones, okay? So what we're going to do here is do the same exact experiment. We've only put 2 on the field. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them in color order so it's easier to dissect them. We're going to put the hard flat on the bottom. We're going to put the cloud flat above him. The seam flat is Oliver, and this is going to be your curl flat, okay? So you get all those colors, right? Now we've got 2 routes over there. I want to show you how they all react differently. And this is why sometimes what you're going to see is that sometimes your guys will get to the sidelines and then other times they won't because of the way that somebody has manipulated their coverage. And what you're going to see here is how they differ. So let's hike the ball, and I want you just to kind of wait on this, and you're going to see how some of them take a while, some of them don't. Let's go ahead and break this down and kind of give you a better aspect, okay? So we're going to go to instant replay, and what I want to show you here is we're going to start from the back, okay? The back player was the curl flat, number 22 here, Keanu O'Neal, okay? he's going to get pretty good depth, but I want to show you that compared to all four of them, they will go to the sidelines in a different speed depending on what they're in. The first two players are definitely going to be the best ones of getting wide, and we'll talk about that. That's your cloud flats and your hard flats. And then the seam flat's the one of 26, and then look at the curl flat. So the curl flat actually does a pretty good job of widening out to start. Then what you're going to see with the curl flat is he gets sucked into the middle. Okay, when that happens, if somebody's just doing this route right here by the receiver, you're done. This is where all those rollout corners come, or all those easy throws to the outside. And you're saying, I put my curl flat in 25 yards. What happened? Well, when there was only two routes on the field, he gets sucked into the inside, and you get an easy catch. You can see that very clearly here, that you thought that you were going to be able to cover that route. Say you were in a Mabel where you had somebody underneath this and then this, and then make that throw, you get upset because 22 just never gets to the sidelines, okay? So curl flats, in my opinion, are pretty much one of the worst ones you can use, and it's probably the most commonly used one because it's the easiest to set up. And we'll get into that later, how we can make it better. Now, here's the seam flat. Seam flat's a really interesting one because it's the slowest one to get wide, right? But what it does a really good job of matching as far as the way that the outbreaking route does, because he's staying inside until he breaks. And once he breaks, now he's going to get outside. And he does a really good job. A lot of people, including Banks IQ, feel that the seam flats are the best ones to use because of the fact that it does a really good job of covering more space. It's going to cover inside first, then it's going to cover outside. And that's a really nice opportunity to just, have the ability to break on the ball on the break of the route. Whereas the cloud flats and the hard flats are excellent if you just want the guy to get as wide as possible. Look at the top two guys, number 24 and 45. They get wide initially, they stay wide, they're always got outside leverage, and they're in a good spot no matter what on this route. And to me, I like these hard flats and cloud flats a lot because of the way that they're very predictable, right? Route combinations wise, they're going to stay wide. So I wanted to show you that when it comes to three players, okay? Now, there is one other type of zone that we haven't talked about, and that's going to be this quarter flat, okay? So what I'm going to do with the quarter flat is I'm just going to show you a little bit, and I'll replace it with the seam flat. So what you're going to see is that this player right here, Oliver, is going to be the quarter flat. I'll put the hard flat, cloud flat. You know what? I'm going to reverse the orders this time, just so you can see, that it doesn't matter where these guys are. They're going to be in the same spot. So here we go. Here's the cloud flat. So we got the cloud flat on top, the curl flat, cloud flat, hard flat, and then this is the quarter flat, okay? Now the quarter flat is, to me, the worst one out of them all right? And the reason why is that you'll see it's very unpredictable. You can see that he's actually going to end up into the middle of the field. And I want to make sure that you see this, that guy will not cover the outside. The quarter flats are great in other regards, but when it comes to just straight up using a quarter flat in a 25-yard deep zone, we're going to look at number 26 here. He's going to stay inside, and then what he's going to do is he's going to look like he's going outside, and then he's going to come right back in. So he'll never cover that. Now, whereas we saw this again, remember how we had, what did I just do there? Let me go back to it here. So what we did here is, if you look at the two middle players, that is our, number 45 is our hard flat, number 24 is our cloud flat. Again, they get out quickly. See how quickly they get out, and they stay outside, where 22, again, here's our curl flat, is getting sucked to the inside, and then eventually he'll get over there, right? So again, just want to make sure that we see consistency. This is how it works. Now, for those that really love the ability to have curl flats because it's an easier coverage, because most cover threes, if you look at it, are going to be starting off with curl flats. The easiest way to make this work is to play over the top coverage. Okay, if you play over the top coverage, he is now going to go to his destination. He's no longer going to get sucked inside. He's no longer going to do any of that. We'll show you that here. And I want to make sure that you understand that, because this is a thing that, if you're not doing it and you want to keep curl flats in the field, you're at a disadvantage. So make sure you play over the top coverage. And I'm just going to show you with that one player that when we do this, he's going to go straight line. He's not going to go in. He's not going to go out. But again, you can see that he doesn't cover the outside spot. What I mean by that is that he is not going to get you as much of the corner, right? So the fact that you can make him go a little bit closer to that outside, but if you look at this, this guy will still get this area right here. That's why I still like cloud flats and hard flats better. But for a quicker way of making sure this guy doesn't get manipulated to the middle by playing over the top, he's going to do a straight line. I wanted to show you that, okay? So what is the best Mabel in my opinion? For me, it's either going to be something where we're going to put the 25 yards in the hard flats, and then we're going to, or the cloud flats, and then we're going to put the 5 or 0 yards to the curl flats. So let's watch this here. So what we would do here is we go into this. We'll keep this at 20 to 25 yards, depending on what type of routes you're looking at. And then we'll change this to 5, okay? And then what we do is we'll go into a concept here where we'll go into, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go into cover 3 just so you can look at it from this perspective, okay? So let's just do a cover 3 sky, if I can find one, okay. And we'll do the same route combination. And what we'll do here is kind of show you why this is the easiest one to set up when it comes to button presses because of the way that it's set up. Okay, so let's go to the same play that we were doing before, curl, corner strike. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our players and we're going to shade them down, then shade them back up. So basically underneath and over the top, that turns into cloud flats. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the linebacker and put him in a curl flat, right? So in this case, I'm just going to take my linebacker and move him more over this way. So this way you can see, this is what a Mabel coverage is. I know I talked about it, but I didn't really discuss it much. What ends up happening with a Mabel is that you're going to have a low and a high, okay? So I'll make sure that you understand that, and then you kind of go from there with the way it breaks down. So in this scenario, you really want to have linebackers on the field so you can get the curl flats. And I'll show you here on the right side. What you're going to do again is you're going to see that even with, I'll do it where we're just going to put the player like this. We'll do the 3 routes. And actually, yeah, it doesn't matter. And you'll see that these guys are going to cover this really, really well the way that you would want them to cover it because of the way that it is. Now, I personally, when I'm doing this, I want to make sure that you see this. I want my free safety to be on the same side as the bunch. So I'm flipping this to make sure that the safety is on the same side of the bunch. And I'm doing the underneath, over the top, putting the A on a curl flat. And now we're in a section, like I said, we've got the whole right side covered. This guy's a little bit deeper. If you wanted to have a double Mabel, you could definitely put this guy in a curl flat. In a 2-4-5 situation or a 3-3-5 wide, where we've done it for the Giants playbook, you're going to have outside linebackers that are going to be a little bit easier to put them in curl flats on the outside, right? So that way, if you try to put this guy here, you see, actually, you can put him on a curl flat as well, so we can do that. But there are some formations that you can't, but you can do it like this way. And now you've got double Mabel everywhere. You're covering the middle of the field, and you're in good shape, right? So that's kind of where that Mabel comes, but you really want to make sure that you understand why you're putting what zones on what sides because of the way that they're doing it. If I try to throw this ball over here, they're running out of real estate, right? This guy's going to shut it down. You're in really good shape. If you had a second controller, I can click on that player and make it. But the Mabel is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to make sure that you understand that you may be putting the wrong zones on the field, and they may be getting manipulated in a way that is putting you at a disadvantage. So just to recap, for those that just want to make sure that you understand, in my opinion, the best coverages or the best zones to cover outside are going to be your soft squats, your clouds, and your hard flats, all your blues. Then from there, seam flats is definitely next, and it definitely gives you that advantage of being able to hold the seam, then get to the outside. And then absolutely, the curl flats are not very good, and then the quarter flats are the worst. So hopefully you learned something from this, get you something to understand a little bit better, and get the right zones on the field to have the most success. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you on the next video.